Hi everybody, Mike Williams here, and welcome to the Soma Sapien Podcast. This episode is entitled, It's in the Body, and this is an important concept that I wanted to bring in here on the program today, because it's something that I share with and really try to help any of my new clients or prospects get, an idea about extremely early in our process, really even when we're just talking for the first time, because it provides a really excellent framework for the work that we're going to do. But also for people that aren't my clients, I think this is a really critical thing to understand, because I believe that if we want to pursue any transformation in our lives, whether that's helping our bodies heal from some chronic pain or illness potentially, or in the non-physical realms, if we're trying to do something radically different in our lives, like really connect in deeply to what our life path is, or what we sense our deepest purpose is, or be in relationships in a more authentic and mindful way. My belief is that really being able to tap into the experience of the body, the sensory experience, the movement experience, the emotional experience in the present moment gives us a vast set of tools and a much greater amount of leverage in creating transformation in our lives than simply the mental or cognitive or knowing realms can do. So as an example, when new clients or potential clients give me a call and they're asking how we'll do the work that we're going to do, usually I'll have something of a standard answer, or at least theme, that I'll bring into the conversation around the idea that simply knowing something in the mental realm doesn't in fact create change, right? Like the knowing doesn't mean anything has shifted. So one example there might be, let's say you're a smoker, and by now, right? Everyone knows that smoking is bad and can potentially kill you, right? That knowledge does not mean that you'll quit smoking, right? And we see that all around us. The way that person might be motivated or able even to create change from that experience of smoking, they're going to be much more likely to do that if they are in the moment, day to day, deeply connected to how that habit is changing their bodies, how it's making them feel, what limitations it's imposing upon them, what they're no longer able to do, and the feel or emotional experience around those limitations. Having that in the moment, present, bodily, embodied experience of the impact of that habit is going to go a lot further toward helping them transform away from that habit than just the knowledge that we get from the media, doctors, our peers, friends, family, things like that, right? So that's one kind of very simple example that I often use to kind of help people understand why in my work I really want to help them direct their awareness skillfully into their body's experience, so they can get that deeper layer of programming that's happening in their systems and keeping them in whatever stuck place they find themselves in. Now, recently I actually had another great experience that really illuminated just another profound reason why gaining information from the body is typically much more fruitful than just kind of the mental cognitive knowing. And I wanted to bring that in as a really great example to talk about today. So recently I had a longtime client back in. I hadn't seen this person in a while. And they're an excellent client that I really enjoy working with. And we historically have done some really incredible work together. So always a pleasure to have this person back in. Now, this person came in because they had injured themselves a couple weeks prior, had experienced a groin pull, doing something, just a day-to-day kind of movement, something pretty innocuous. It was a little confusing because it wasn't like a big athletic moment or a typical kind of injury experience. And the thing had really lingered and stuck around for several weeks without any shift or movement forward. And in fact, when they came walking in, it was really obvious they were in a lot of discomfort. So, my thinking, just given our history together, was that it would, probably be pretty straightforward session, organized mostly around manual therapy, body work, the Rolfing structural integration work that I bring in, looking to help this person not only kind of open up the tissue locally in the area they were having trouble with, but seeing how it had created adaptation throughout their whole physical system, opening up those areas as well, which would generally in turn help them begin to move more easily, and then allow their system as a whole to gently begin to improve the healing process. So as we worked, that's where I began, and we did some pretty mellow body work along some different areas that kind of fit into that mental concept there I just mentioned. And the further along we went, this person began to report some low back pain coming along. And, nothing too crazy, but, just like this very low level discomfort that they were becoming aware of. So we kind of tried to make them a little more comfortable, and I, gave this advice, like, let's just keep track of that, okay? And let me know if it gets worse. Well, sure enough, gradually it became worse and worse. And so I had this bit of insight, remembering some of our previous work, and decided to pause the hands-on work and just see if we could help this person's system get a little more comfortable, a little more ease in general. Because what my suspicion was that with my hands-on work around these painful areas, what was happening was that their nervous system was getting more and more activated, right? And now what I know from a lot of my work and from studies is when our nervous systems get activated, right? Like we kind of aim a little bit more towards fight or flight, right? Tension rises in the muscular system, right? And in the fascial system, the connective tissue system. It's kind of like we're going on alert, right? Like we're just not sure if things are okay or safe, right? And that fight or flight, it's a rising tension that will, in your body, that will enable you to respond and either fight or flee, right? Pretty basic stuff. This increased tension in their system was increasing pain, the overall pain, right? In this case, it was in the low back, which also is a common place for discomfort during fight or flight because the spine is going to extend, kind of just slightly backward bend, lifting the body in what I call alert pose, right? And that can happen even when you're lying down on someone's massage table, as was happening with this client the other day. So in rethinking my strategy on the fly, I began a series of interventions, just some gentle contact at the painful spot, so that their back could just kind of settle back in and relax. And I had my client kind of focus on, okay, can you allow your body to just soften into the support of my hand, right? That kind of physicalized support was designed to provide safety in their system, which in turn should have been able to help their that tensional response in their system relax. So after a few minutes, sure enough, that began to happen. And we were able to kind of reset our work and began to move forward. Now, what I decided to do here was interesting, and I decided to play with okay, can the body as a whole, in particular this strained groin inner leg area, could it do something similar? So I set up a couple bits of support and experiments to just see if we could slowly allow their body to relax more and more and more. And if so, would that pain, which was still active in this moment, just lying there, would that be able to abate? So what was interesting here was at a certain point, things began to open up and relax and get easier. And I decided to, okay, we're having progress here. Let's see if we can move things a little forward. And I was going to make some contact back at their body again, just very innocuously at their feet, literally as an experiment. Hey, if I touch you gently, will it change the pain experience? So sure enough, when I made contact, the pain arose again. Backing off, what I decided to do was to, give their system a moment to reset, see if the symptoms would abate, and then we could move forward from there. Now, they did when I removed my contact, and then I asked this very innocuous question, which I didn't even intend to be kind of a test, but it ended up being this very interesting test. I asked my client, hey, let me know when you feel in your body that things are okay and you're ready to proceed. Now, this was where things got really, really interesting. So what my client did at that moment was kind of pause, think for a second, and then say the words, I'm okay, I'm ready. At which point, I kind of wondered if that was really true. Not from the perspective of what they were saying, but if it was actually a true report really from the front lines of her physical experience. So, I asked again and they said, yeah, it's okay, go ahead. Now, I decided to okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if that's true. So I just remade very gentle contact at the feet, and instantaneously this shooting pain went through that groin area on my client, which in the work I do in mindfulness-based work, like a tension in the body, a sharp pain, it's basically a big, loud no, right? The body is effectively resisting what might be actually a therapeutic, nice thing, that really gentle contact from a trusted therapist and body worker, right? So what had just happened right there was some really interesting dissonance in their system. Their mind, knowing me, we've worked together for over 2 years. There's a lot of established trust and experience that we've established together. Also, there was in the mind this real desire and certainty perhaps that, hey, if Mike contacts me and is able to do some physical body work, I'm likely to feel better. So yes, I'm okay. Please proceed, right? There's kind of a layer of a story or a desire or ego in there driving the bus, right? I want this, and I also believe in you, I trust you, so please proceed, right? That's that mental realm. And if you know anything about the mental realms, they are several layers of abstraction away from actual raw physical experience, right? Like if something happens in your body and you're going to describe it, even the words are a distance away from the experience, just necessarily, right? The body, in this case, had given a really clearly different response. Effectively a no, I'm not available, don't proceed, this hurts, right? So this was a really great moment, and we talked about it, and from there things changed rapidly and in a really great direction when we both got on the same page about what was going on in their body. But to bring that kind of longish story to conclusion, this was a really clear case of someone's mind and ego and stories and desires and all the personality characteristics that are kind of wrapped up in themselves, which we all have, right? Those were not a bad thing. Having a really different take on what was happening in the moment than what the body did, right? So in this case, the body was right. And most of the time it is, right? Like the feedback loop from the body was, no, please don't, please stop, right? So this right here is why it's critically important when you're working on any big change to really understand what is happening in your body, in your emotions, in your energy, right in the moment, right? You have to build the skill and be able to connect with awareness, with mindfulness into, well, actually what is really happening right now beyond the stories, beyond the desires, beyond the needs in my mind, right? They can often be, as they were in this case, two really different, really radically different experiences. So what I would suggest for you as a practice, as kind of a takeaway from this story today is, really start maybe getting a sense for, if you're working with it could be a chronic pain situation like this person had, or it could be just some chronic ongoing challenge in your world that you're just not pleased with. That could be a job, a relationship, some connection or aspect to your life's direction. And I want you to take, maybe practice taking a few moments, like right when you're in it and you're trying to decide, especially if you notice that you're really spinning out in the mental realm, like getting really busy and thinking and trying to puzzle out what the solution is for whatever current conundrum you're in. And see if you can pause, slow down, take a breath or two, and just kind of land. And then just see if you can turn your awareness into your body, into your emotional state, into even, broadly your energy, right? Like, does it feel busy? Does it feel slow? Does it feel content, relaxed, right? Energy in that way. And just see what information you can get from those realms that are not mental. And at a bare minimum, just see if they align with what your thinking is, right? Like, are they the same or are they different, right? Now, if they're the same, great, carry on, move forward, and be assured that you're heading at least in what's most likely the right direction right now, right? But if they're really wildly different, I would challenge you to try going with the information that your body, emotions, or energy are telling you as a way to really develop that internal awareness and perception, and you could say intuition for moving forward through whatever challenge you're in. Give it a shot. Comment or shoot me a message with your results. I'd love to hear it. And until next time, hope this has been an informative and illuminating episode, and I'll look forward to connecting with you next time. This is Mike Williams, and thanks for joining me.